about the last time we were together. Spent a lot of time in the off season, certainly with the returning players, and then the guys that are new. Just really, I think, focusing on how we can be more consistent. That certainly was a challenge, I think, for us last year. Some of it was understandable as it related to, having so much of a new team. But I think starting off, becoming a consistent team, and the fact that we have an opportunity every day to go to work as a team, to improve, to get to know each other. But for me, it really starts with the work and the commitment that we make starting tomorrow to be more consistent, in the areas that we were lacking. Certainly that's a priority for us. And then I think just the opportunity to understand that we're afforded each and every day to start at ground zero and to try to build back up, to try to improve and try to get better. So, I'm looking forward to that process starting tomorrow.
Barry Trammell with the Oklahoma. Billy, I know you always believe in the process and believe in what you're doing, but when a guy like Paul George comes for a year and then re-ups for at least 3 more, is that sort of an endorsement that, hey, we're doing things right, we're running the kind of organization that we ought to be running?
Well, I mean, I'll let Paul speak to that. My dialogue with him after the season ended, before free agency was really, really positive. I think Paul, probably understood that, coming in last year and so much of the team being new and it being an adjustment period, I think he felt good, about his relationship with Russell, the relationship with the rest of the guys on the team. Paul is an easy guy to work with, easy guy to communicate with. So I think he felt like, just based on, being here for a year, I think he felt comfortable, obviously, moving forward. I think it speaks to his teammates, the organization, everybody all the way around.
Billy, with Russell's surgery, was that something he could have had earlier in the season, or was it this at that point he had to have it at that time? Well,
obviously, Russell made that decision. He'll talk about that. But I think for him, he felt like it was the best thing to do at this point in time. And, we feel very, very fortunate that it was obviously nothing serious. And he's working hard to get himself back, whenever that time may be.
Hey, Billy. Do you think with the roster finally solidified this season, do you think that there's maybe a more obvious direction and flow with Paul George and Russell, maybe that there maybe wasn't last season?
Well, I think anytime you have 2 high-caliber players like that, there's always going to be an adjustment period that goes on, in terms of getting to know each other, how each other plays, how do you play off of each other. I just think that that's normal. But I think because of, Russell's investment here, over his entire career, who he is as a leader, I think he and Paul really developed a very, very close and good relationship, that I think that they work through those things. So I would say that they're probably at a better place this year, starting the season, than they were a year ago, because they really just didn't know each other in terms of that kind of familiarity. So that part of it, I think, is positive.
Eric Horney, Oklahoman. Billy, is kind of a 2-parter. First, your initial thoughts on being able to work with Dennis, getting more time with Dennis than you would have had with Carmelo last year. And second, Dennis and Russell together. Those are 2 guys who are very good in pick and roll, like to get downhill. How do you play those 2 styles together?
Well, before the trade ever happened, I had an opportunity to speak with Dennis, and we had some very, very candid conversations. And the one thing I would say, coming from those conversations, is that he's extremely competitive, and winning is a high priority for him. Certainly, we'll have to work through those situations. I think both those guys can play together on the floor. I think they both be effective. Both of those guys know that one of them is not going to have the ball in their hands as a point guard if they're both on the floor together. But it's going to be, those 2 guys getting familiar with each other, playing with each other. But that would be something that I think that would be something we would need to work on. Obviously, it would be a little bit more challenging with Russell's situation in training camp, maybe not having the opportunity to do that, tomorrow. But I think going forward, when Russell does return, I think that's something that we're going to need to look at, because I think that could be a positive for our team.
Hey, Coach, how has Stephen evolved in the last couple of years, and then how is that evolution tied to the evolution of the position he plays?
Well, Steven's continued to get better, every year since I've been here. He's obviously an elite defender. He's a terrific roller. I thought last year, his role really kind of, he flowered in it. He did a great job last year, all the way from the beginning, all the way to the end. And I think the things that we needed him to do to impact the team, he really did. So Steven's always been a really good team guy. He's always put the team first and has always had an attitude of, what can I do to help? What can I do to make the team better? And I thought last year, the way he played from start to finish, was he had a terrific year.
Eric Horney, Oklahoman. Billy, in regard to Carmelo last year, he was a guy who kind of came, I guess, 2 days before training camp, and you had a plan to have Patrick kind of as that guy starting at power forward. I mean, do you have a bunch of notes left over from when you were putting together your plan for that group? And I mean that by saying that, is it going to be easier for you to go into this season with a guy like Patrick because you've had time with Patrick and you had a plan for Patrick going into the season last year?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you necessarily always have just an individual plan. It's, really from a team perspective. Obviously it was a little bit different, with Carmelo coming in, in fairness, so close to training camp. I think he got in town the day before. So you always are going to go back and look at notes and look at things to evaluate the season, to evaluate players and try to put them in positions to be successful. But, again, the situation was what it was last year with Carmelo. With him coming in so late, there's really nothing that we could do about that. But, again, I've always felt very strongly about Patrick as a player, Jeremy as a player. I think those guys can help us. I think they both complement each other very well. But I don't necessarily think that, looking at last year, things that maybe we wanted to do with Patrick, you still have to look at that there are some different players on our team this year, so what's best for the entire group? We'll have to see how that plays itself out. I'm not going to really talk about that because one is I haven't had a chance to see certainly Dennis on the floor and Timothy on the floor, Nader on the floor. There's different players out there, Nerlens. So we'll have to see how all that works out. I think both Patrick and Jeremy realize and understand that both those guys will be important to our team going forward this year.
Coach, there's reason for optimism about Dennis coming aboard and what all he's done in the past. But there are a couple of questions. His three-point shooting, I think last year was 29%, and he doesn't have a history of being an established elite defender. In fact, some people say much less. Sam had mentioned he's expecting him to be an elite defender. Could you describe what you're expecting in those two areas from him?
Well, I think when Dennis, I remember when Dennis, he's a young player, he's more than capable of as a defender. He's got the ability to do that. I think when he probably started off in Atlanta, their team looked drastically different than it did probably a year ago. There was probably an evolution for him, as it related from coming off the bench to starting. So, there's different things that he was probably dealing with, but I certainly feel like he has the ability to be a good defender and has the capability. I mean, earlier in his career, he picked up full court. He was very, very aggressive. He's got really good feet. He's got good hands. He's got long arms. So I believe he can be a very good defender. Yeah. With a three-point shooting, I mean, he's obviously his skill, his strength has been getting to the lane. But I also think, too, is him getting comfortable and taking, threes that are within rhythm and good for him. He's got the ability to make threes. I don't want to sit here and say he's been an elite three-point shooter because obviously the stats say he hasn't. But I still feel like for him to do what he does well, he's going to have to take some threes to keep the defense honest, so to speak, so he can create more opportunities to get into the paint.
Last question here. Coach Chris Lincoln, the Oklahoma sports team. Billy, what are your main goals going into training camp? What are questions you want to have answered for this team?
Well, I think the biggest thing for us, if you look at our team last year, and certainly we've got some new players coming in, we were inconsistent in a lot of ways. We've certainly against high-level teams, competed very well. There were some teams that, that maybe weren't in the realm of maybe being at the playoff level that we didn't perform well against. So I think the biggest thing for us is the consistency part. Consistently playing to a style and an identity that we need to, game to game. I think that starts trying to establish that identity and style of how you want to play tomorrow. And I think that's what we've got to do. We've got to be willing to put the work in to create and have an identity that's going to be something that we can rely on that helps us be a more consistent team than we were a year ago.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Yeah, Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. Hey, Russell, nice summer for the Thunder. Paul re-ups. Can you take us through the process of your relationship with him and how you guys connected, and when you think it really, you could see that, hey, this guy's going to be a long-timer for us?
Me and Paul had a relationship before, being both LA natives, having a little relationship back then. And throughout the season, man, and before the season, just creating a relationship, knowing a little bit more about him, his family, his goals, what he want to do. And it just clicked from there. We continued our relationship and continued to stay in contact, obviously, and it made it work.
Russ, I'm curious, with your son and with the twins coming, congratulations, by the way.
Thanks,
Do you
bro.
feel like your game matures in a kind of a special way, like maybe that correlates with fatherhood or your responsibility as a dad? Like, does that impact the way at all, like, as you play?
Definitely can. I think it does, actually. I think it does. You'll see why it does.
Brady Trantham, franchise OKC. Russ, Sam Presti said at his press conference that with Nick Collison leaving the Thunder, that he was looking forward to that being an opportunity for you to kind of take that next step and evolve in your leadership of the team. What goes into that process and taking that next step and being a leader on the team, not necessarily just on the floor?
I mean, every year since I've been here, and I've tried to involve my leadership. I think that's something that I take very, very personal, and I think it's very, very important. From the outside looking in, you can't really tell what leadership is unless you know what goes on from a day-to-day basis. And for me, I take that upon myself to be able to create relationships with different guys. Obviously now with new guys on our team, it's important, and different things of how we do it around here. So definitely this year is going to be big in that aspect for me. It's just to continue to do what I've been doing.
Eric Horney, Oklahoman. Russell, I know you haven't had a ton of time with Dennis yet, but what are your initial thoughts on Dennis and how you guys will possibly mesh on and off the court?
I think we'll be fine, man. Obviously, Dennis is a great player. Done a lot of great things in Atlanta. Plays fast, plays with pace, good with the basketball, and I think we'll be fine, man. It's going to open up a lot of different things for him, for myself, when we're on the floor together, so I'm looking forward to it.
Shannon Shang from Tencent, China. How was the trip in China?
It was great. One of my favorites, honestly. Had an opportunity to be able to travel is a blessing for me. But to go to China to be able to see all my fans and people there that care so much about what I'm doing over here is overwhelming for me at times. But I'm definitely truly thankful and had a great time. So.
What's the thing that impressed you the most?
The people, just the people, how nice and understanding they are about just me and just loving everything I do about myself, my family. That's the most important part.
Russ, how critical is Andre's recovery to what you guys plan and hope to do this season?
And I think it's important, but there's no rush, man. Dre, once he get back, he'll be back and ready to go. It's the start of a new year for us, and we have a lot of different guys at a lot of different positions that has to be ready to step up and make things happen. But once Dre comes back, we pick him up right where he left off.
Eric Horney, Oklahoman. Russell, last year you all get Carmelo a couple days before camp. You have more time this time around with Dennis, and you've been able to spend more time with him in the offseason. What is the difference between that when you have a little bit more time with a guy, on and off the court again?
What you mean?
Whereas you get Dennis in a trade, earlier than you would have with Carmelo. Does that help? Is there a benefit there to having him in and around the guys a little bit earlier?
And it's just not about Dennis. I think we traded for a few other guys as well. That's important, and we had them all summer. Nerlens, Nadar, Timmy. We got a lot of different guys that are new and that are here and try to make an impact for our team. I think it's important that you just create relationships with those guys, create a bond, have an opportunity to be able to see, how their game has evolved and put it all together and make one team.
Russ, do you have a timetable for your return on the court?
What did you read?
Press release.
What did it say?
4 weeks.
There you go.
All right. You sticking to that?
Yeah, I'm sticking to whatever comes out.
Anybody else?
Unless you hear any different.
Couple more. Time for a couple more.
Oh, but Russell, when Carmelo was traded, he wrote a letter to you, addressing you, the fans, the organization.
Right.
What did you feel about his time here, and did you learn anything from having Carmelo here with you?
Me and Melo are great friends. Besides what happened last year, I've been knowing Melo for a while, so our relationship and different things has really nothing to do, with last year. Obviously, him being here for me, I think was a great experience to learn a lot about him as a person, not just on the basketball court, but learn a lot of different things about him off the floor. Learn some things from him as well, just how I approach the game, because he's obviously a superstar and understands how to play the game at a high level, and I'm pretty sure he's going to do great things in Houston, and I wish him nothing but the best because he's a good friend of mine. So.
Yeah, Russell, you were talking about the leadership question a few minutes ago. In the NBA, recruitment has become a thing for players, particularly stars of a franchise. Have you seen your role change over the years in terms of how you have to interact with potential free agents or keeping guys around, or have you done anything different?
Nope. I've always done the same thing I've always been doing. For me, I'm a real person. I'm real. I keep it 100, straightforward. I'm not going to go out and be someone I'm not just to get somebody to stay, because that's considered being fake. And for me, I be myself at all times, as you guys know. And it's important to do that. And that's a part of being a leader, part of being a leader of this team and organization. And that's what I do.
Anybody else? Got one more in the back there. Be the last one for Russ.
There was a lot of stuff that went on this summer, players moving, Kawhi, DeMar, that type of thing. Social media was kind of out of whack. Do you guys, as players, talk about that and see that happening around the
You
league?
obviously see it, but talk about it. It doesn't have nothing to do with our team. I don't really talk about it much, but you obviously see it. Every summer it's going to be like that because it's free agency. Once free agency hit, there's a lot of different moves that needs to be made and a lot of things, a lot of trades. So things happen. Just that's a part of the world we live in now. So.
Thank you, Russ.
Yeah.
Well, Barry Trammell from the Oklahoman, you made a lot of people in Oklahoma happy this summer, deciding to stay. Can you take us back through the process of exactly when it started formulating in your mind, hey, this is a place I might want to stay, place I'm going to stay, just how that whole process went during the season and after the season?
I think during the season, to start the season off, I was just open, very open about the situation. And, in order for me to do that, for me to give everything I had and for me to be committed, I had to be open about coming here. Otherwise, I would have been, not giving the team every bit of effort or, it just would have been something that I was holding back. So, I just told myself to start the process off and just give this team everything I have and see what happens. And obviously, I've developed some good relationships with Russ, with Steven, with Dre, with Coach Donovan, Sam Presti, Clay. I just developed these really good relationships here, almost feeling like I've been here for a while. And then just over the course of the whole season, it just steamrolled, just got better and better, and here I am.
Paul, what sense, if any, have you gotten of what it meant to this place for you? You're an LA guy. For you to choose to stay here, what sense have you gotten just from what it means to the community?
Well, I think me starting off in a small market helped with feeling what small markets bring as far as a community standpoint. It was a great start to be in Indy for that feeling, and then again, the city being behind this team. The team being behind the community, it was just hand in hand. And then just being a part of this team, it just felt right.
Paul, I'm curious, as a player, what's it like when media and fans kind of hinge on words that players say when they're going through pretty much going into their free agency? Like last year, you said year one a handful of times, and it seemed like everybody was trying to read into that. I'm just curious, what is it like from your end?
At the end of the day, it's our decision. So It can be frustrating when, you know, at the end of the day, we're the only ones that know what it feels like or what decision we ultimately want to make. But then, you know, you say one thing and, you know, one person put this story out and now everybody is taken to it. When it came to my whole process, of course I'm gonna be split. You know, that's part of life, being split between wanting to play back home or you know, playing in Oklahoma. You say one thing, I'm gonna make this person mad. Say something else, I'm gonna make these people mad. So it's at the end of the day, it's we got to be happy with who we are, and we got to be happy with the decision we're gonna make, because at the end of the day, it's only gonna affect us, not the mass. So it was frustrating, but you know, at the end of the day, it's what our job, you know, is what we got to deal with.
Paul, to play off that question, do you feel like, you know, for the first time in a few years, you're not really necessarily questioning your future? You don't have people kind of around you just waiting for something to slip. Do you feel like you can just come out and enjoy the game of basketball more than maybe you have been able to in a while?
Yeah, I think so. I think for the past 2 or 3 years of my season, there's always been, you know, speculations or, you know, people deciding what my future should be. I know where I'm at, and the world knows where I'm at. So yeah, in a way, in a sense, I can go back to just playing ball and enjoying the game.
Paul, a message in the X interviews last year and this year was about the team being more consistent, and talked about, you know, not building good habits during, you know, teams versus like the sub 500 teams. Is that something the players have talked about, and what do you see as kind of being a solution for some of that?
Well, I think it just goes with us being together for a year or two now. You're going to have those nights where, you know, we're going to show how special and how brilliant we are of a team when we play against, you know, teams that we need to be locked in on. Now where you're going to see the chemistry and the consistency is from us being together for a year or two is now being able to do that against, you know, the sub 500 teams. I just think we worked through a lot in 1 year, and people expected us to be, you know, a lot further along. But honestly, you know, that's the reason why I'm here for year two. I knew it wasn't going to be something that happened, you know, in one year being with this group. So you got to build certain habits, and that's the habits we're hoping that we build, is that consistency.
Jacob Toby, Channel 2 in Tulsa. Everyone saw that video of the party at Russ's house over the summer when you made that decision. What was the feeling like when you
Russ got a new house?
Yeah, when you let it be known that, you know, you were coming back and going to be here for a while?
What was the party like?
Yeah.
Who was
saw
there?
you
Who was there at
smiling.
that party? Anybody in here who was there at that party?
What was it like?
You got to ask them. You got to ask everybody that was at that party. The party was amazing. You missed out if you wasn't at that party.
I wasn't invited.
Y'all station won't get the good deeds on that night.
You became kind of an advocate for Jeremy Grant during the course of this season. What do you see in him, and what was so important to you about him that wanting him to come back?
JG is one of those special players, I think, that you need on a team to make a team special. Every team needs that one guy that can do a little bit of everything, and JG is that guy. You know, you can plug JG in at any spot, and he's going to come out with some special plays for us. So it's great for us to be able to play fast, to play quick, defensively to be able to just fly across that whole court, and protect the basket, as well as run the floor and play in the transition game. So, you know, he's a special kind of player, and I definitely, you know, was vouching and was pulling for him to come back here.
Paul, was there anything surprising in the way that things played out with Carmelo to you?
No, I mean it played out, you know, how it was supposed to, I guess. You know, we miss Melo here as a teammate, as a brother. But you know, if something doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know, it's nothing that he did. It's nothing that The organization did, nothing that the coaches did. If something doesn't work, it just doesn't work, and that's fine. We got to be able to move on from that. And he's in a better situation for him, and we got to move on and get prepared as a team.
Last question in the back here.
Hey, Paul. Kawhi Leonard is coming up on a similar situation as this season as you had last season. Has he reached out to you, or do you have anything that you can offer to him, maybe as he goes through this process this year?
Me and Kawhi are pretty close. Actually, during the summer, we hung out and kind of talked and got together a little bit. And we did talk a little bit on that, but at the end of the day, just told him just be open. We both Southern Cal guys, and we both wanted to come home, play for the city. But obviously, my situation came up, and I was happy with it. Just told him be open about it. Be open about the situation, and just give wherever he goes. At that time, we didn't know where he was going. Just told him give wherever you're going, give him your everything, and decide from there.
Thanks, Paul.
Oh, man.
How you doing, Ray?
Good. How about yourself?
Another day, man.
Yeah.
Question. So, there's a lot of new young talent on this team. There's a lot of guys that, last season, something that, the team really valued from you was your ability to really just take guys under your wing and like really just be a great mentor. That's got to be exciting, right? Like there's so many new guys that are coming in to the squad and looking for their role. Do you embrace that opportunity to just kind of be the guy for them?
Oh, no question, man. Being that leader, being able to give back the knowledge that I have over the years is something that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun this year, and we do got a lot of new talent, young talent at that, and it's gonna be a special year. I look forward to it.
Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. Ray, you were backing up point guard, played some with Russ last year. Now they've gone and traded for Dennis Schroeder, another quality NBA point guard. We were told, or I was told, that you actually were open to that idea and endorsed that idea. Can you talk about why you're excited about another really good point guard coming in and crowding your position?
Oh, man, I'm all about winning basketball games. I'm all about getting better. And I felt like, having multiple playmakers, is good for a team. I've been in the league this is my 14th season, and I've played with smaller guards than Dennis. I've played with bigger guards than Dennis, and just being able to have multiple playmakers on the court, I think is a problem on offense. So yes, of course, I feel like it's a lot of things that we needed to do to get better, and that's something that we want to do as an organization. We want to get better. So, of course, I'd be accepted to that for sure.
Eric Horney, Oklahoman. Raymond, just from what you've seen in the summer, in brief, the brief times that these guys have worked together, or you work with them, what have you thought about the dynamic of Russell and Dennis, and how do you think that'll work out on the court, considering they're guys that kind of have similar strengths in terms of the pick and roll game and having to get downhill and being good at doing that?
Well, I think it's just a situation of just knowing the game. Regardless of them having the same type of game, I feel like they still can play off each other. And like I said, if you have even more playmakers on the court, that's going to be hard to guard. You know what I'm saying? So if you add Dennis and Russ out there at the same time and you add Paul, I won't want to be on that opposing team.
Anybody else?
Right. Sam Presti said like when guards get into their mid to late 30s that their shooting numbers tend to rise as if they're still in the league. What goes into the process of improving your shooting? Because a lot of people just seem to think that it's something as simple as locking yourself in a gym and taking 300-400 shots and then you just magically become a better shooter.
No, that's not the case, but definitely getting in the gym, that helps. Just working on your shot, working on your craft. I think the main thing for me is just really understanding that, at the age of 21, you're not as quick or as fast as you are at the age of 34. But so just have to really just not change your game, but add other things to your game in order to stay in the league or in order to get better at what you do. And that's all it really is. Just really just working at getting better at things that maybe you wasn't as strong at 21 and that you need to get better at 34.
Yeah, Raymond, last season, a season-long storyline was Paul's future. What's he going to do? Is he going to stay? Is he going to leave? Whatever. Was there ever a point when you started getting confident, hey, this he might stick around, and then thinking he's going to stick around? How did you see that all play out?
Well, being close to Paul, being like a big brother of the team, I kind of knew a little bit more than maybe others. So, I really wasn't panicking. It was a process that, he had a lot to think about, his family, being home or being a place that he felt comfortable and that he loved. So, I'm glad that he chose the place that he loved. And we're definitely happy to have him back, for sure.
Anybody else?
That's it. Thank you.
Hey, Abdul. Basically, just since you were born, you've bounced around not only basketball-wise, but just life-wise. I mean, how is that process of moving to different spots, transferring in college, and now being traded from Boston to Oklahoma City? How's that kind of helped you try and understand what needs to be done in order to find to solidify yourself in a role with one team?
Well, to start off, like you're right, it's prepared me throughout my whole life from when I moved from Egypt to Chicago, transferring schools, things like that, getting traded here. I think a lot of it is just you just got to take it how it comes and just work for the best and prepare for the best.
Barry Trammell, the Oklahoman. People around here remember you from your college days because you come down here a few times a year and play basketball. What do you remember about your Iowa State experience and how that prepared you for the NBA?
Iowa State was a big time experience for me, especially because I just learned a lot, especially under Fred Hoiberg and his time there. He had played in the NBA for a long time, so he was a big time players coach, and it was a lot from understanding the game on and off the court, and just being in that kind of environment. So.
We're seeing players these days get drafted, go into the G League, and that's what happened with you in Boston. How did they use the G League to sort of develop your skill set, and get you more prepared for today's NBA?
Well, a lot of it is I think it's more just to do with, like, every team's different. So Boston had no roster spots available. The D League was going to be a good opportunity for me to play a lot of minutes. Or I'm sorry, the G League. It was called the D League back then. But it was an opportunity for me to play tons of minutes and actually build and work on my game, work on my craft. Whereas if I was in Boston with them that year, I probably wouldn't have played as much, wouldn't have benefited me as much as from a career standpoint.
Eric Horney, Oklahoman. You having a prior relationship with Deontay, did that help you coming into this transition? And what were those conversations like since he had spent a summer with the team and he'd had a successful summer with the Thunder Summer League team?
That's a good question. Me and Deontay, we were really tight at Iowa State, and I think when he went to, I think it was Korea, we weren't really talking as much and stuff like that. So when I found out he signed this two-way here, I gave him a call, talked to him about it, and literally like 3 days later I get traded. So it's good having someone and he's like a brother to me. So it helps.
Abdel, I know
we're not rooming together. No.
Abdel, I know you had surgery on your wrist in June. How'd that go? How is it now as you come into camp?
Oh, it was great. I fixed an ulna fracture that happened to me when I was 16 years old, and I had no idea about it. So it's better than ever.
I would assume most people in this room don't know a lot about Egyptian basketball.
I don't.
What can you tell us about how how in a place that's not known for basketball, how did you develop the skills to get pretty good at it?
Well, to be honest, I didn't start playing basketball until I was around 13 years old, and I moved to the States, probably Chicago, when I was 8, 9. So definitely not a big basketball place. My first sport was actually soccer. I was playing that from early age to probably 15. Then I picked up basketball.
No, I've got a question. When you find out that you're being traded, and then you're following the team, and you're seeing these other players getting traded there as well, guys that are young like you, guys with a lot of promise, does that almost like help you anticipate? Are you almost like more relieved? Like, okay, there are other guys coming here that are also going to be finding their role. Like, does that help kind of with the bonding when you get there and there's a group of you that are, you're coming into this new situation and you guys are all together kind of finding your role with the squad?
To an extent, I try not to look at things that are happening outside of what's going on with me, especially from like a career standpoint. My big thing is compete, don't compare. So even when they're on the same team, I kind of try to use the same logic. Although we're all brothers and things, at the end of the day, it's still a career. And I try not to look at it that way.
Other questions for Abdul?
All right. Thank you, guys.
Eric Horn with the Oklahoman. Nerlens, I know you haven't had a lot of time yet with the team, but can you speak to the work that you've done with assistant Mark Bryant, just in the short time that you've had with him so far? I know he plays an integral role with working with the Thunder's big men.
You know, it's been great. Coach Mark Bryant is, you know, definitely one of the top tier, you know, development guys in this league. And, you know, it's crazy because even before I've even ever met him or knew his name, you know, I could tell that, you know, from seeing Steven Adams, you know, progression over these past, you know, 4 or 5 years, and just seeing, you know, how much he's really, you know, taken off with the floater and just around the basket. So, you know, I knew that even beforehand. And, you know, when I started to get around him, you know, I saw, you know, really how special he is.
Nerlens, you talked this summer about Sam Presti impressing you and, you know, being part of the reason you wanted to come here. He said the other day they painted a picture of a really uphill climb coming here, that it wasn't going to be easy. What made you comfortable with that idea?
You know, just accepting challenges. You know, and that's how I've been. You know, my whole life. You know, just taking things right on, and you know, I knew coming here that you know there'd be some challenges, and you know, guys, you know, certain things would be demanded, and you know, I was, you know, 110%, you know, ready for that. And you know, this team is, you know, definitely built, you know, I think the right way with, you know, the right pieces, you know, of guys that can, you know, really complement off each other and, you know, just go out there and play their own game, you know, just naturally. So that's, you know, another reason why, you know, I was really so, you know, attracted to this situation, and, you know, Russ, you know, PG, the leadership as well.
Nerlens, when you look at this Thunder team and you know, you probably saw last season, you know, it was kind of a disappointing season for both the team and the fans. Are there ways that when you're watching film together with the squad, are there things and plays and games where you look and you say, man, I'm excited to be on this squad because I know I can help in like these specific ways? Like you see holes that you can come in and fill.
Most definitely, you know, right on. You know, it's just definitely the play style, and you know, even watching last year's playoffs, you know, just seeing, you know, what they needed, you know, with a backup big, or, you know, just another big that can go out there and, you know, have the ability to switch out 1 through 5. And, you know, I've always imagined myself, you know, on a team like this, you know, honestly, just a team championship, you know, built team. And, you know, I always felt like, you know, I was the type of player that can complement and, you know, just really, you know, put it over the top and, you know, really bring everything I have, you know, athleticism, you know, abilities, offensively, defensively, pick and roll, opening up, spread the floor for shooters, you know, with the 1-5, you know, just little things that, you know, are really hard to guard. And, you know, on the defensive end, you know, guarding, rebounds, blocking shots. So, you know, all those things are, you know, just little things that can, you know, really help you, you know, get over that hump, you know, to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. You mentioned Steven. You played against him from time to time over the years. Now you're with him on the same team. What was your impression of him as an opponent, both on the court and personality-wise, and how is that different now that you're starting to get to know him a little bit?
Oh, yeah, Steven's my guy. I've known him a lot of it. Yeah, I've known him since high school. You know, we used to go at it. He went to Notre Dame Prep, me Tilton. So, you know, we'd always have our great battles, even since high school. And, you know, it's been you know, a steady, you know, time since then. And, you know, to watch him grow and, you know, us, you know, going to go at it, you know, every day in practice and get each other better. You know, our games are so different, you know, but they can really, you know, help one another get better, you know, with my quickness and his size and, you know, prowess. So I think it's really going to be a good tandem this year. You know, him starting off and, you know, me just bringing what I bring to the table. So I think, you know, we're definitely really going to get each other better. And he's just, you know, he's a really funny guy, you know, with a great personality. You know, I've always loved him. And, you know, I think it's going to be a fun year.
Nerlens, what is it like for you and Jeremy and Tim to start your careers in one place and experience, you know, some lows that you did in Philadelphia and then to end up coming back together, particularly you and Jeremy, in a place like this in Oklahoma City where you have a chance at success?
You know, I definitely feel like, you know, it's a cycle of the NBA. You know, opportunities, you know, will be there. You know, you just got to be ready. You know, especially in an opportunity like this in Oklahoma, you know, with this great organization, you know, that Sam has really, you know, done a great job putting together. It's just, you know, I think there's a great position for all of us. You know, Jeremy's come here, I think, after his second or third year, and, you know, you've seen the progression he's made. He's a completely different player. He's been molded into this system. To be that player that he naturally is and naturally wants to be. So he hasn't had any restrictions, and it's really helped his game a lot. And I'm really looking for the same as well in myself. To just have this year as just great focus here, just playing my game. Having that long stretch. Probably be my first time in the playoffs. It will be my first time in the playoffs. I'm sorry, and that'll be a great experience for myself. Through all I've been through with the teams, and to be around this, really this deep locker room with filled with veterans. As myself, just continue learning because the learning process never stops. So, I'm definitely excited for it.
Anybody else? Thanks, Norman.
For sure.
remember last year we did have an order by the time we got to Robertson's couple, everybody just started going out of order because of time. Because apparently they got really back last year, so they may not have a specific order for this year. But if they do, the lady who's holding the clipboard over there, she'll have the full list. She gets in here, I'll go ask her. Yeah, I need that. This is intense. This is intense. She'll take a picture of it. You go over there. They have no idea.
All right. Start. Begin.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
Yeah, not bad, mate. How's yourself? You good?
You know, another day, man.
Oh,
So, Nerlens was super high on just being able to work on. Well, okay. Let me rephrase it.
Wow. This guy.
He was super
Coming in
high on
hot.
working with you. He was super high on working with you, like super excited to see what you guys can do together this season. When you found out that the organization was bringing Nerlens in, were there things about his game that you immediately were like, oh man, this will be really cool. We can sharpen each other, fill some holes, that kind of thing?
No, not too much of that. Honestly, it was just more like that we brought him on. It was just familiar face, someone from a draft. You know what I mean? It was one of those weird moments where you're like, it's weird to see where people end up, you know, sort of thing. So like, it was just cool to have another familiar face from the draft, honestly. But playing with him, man, yeah. I mean, he's a good dude, man. Great character in the locker room, and yeah, everything else, man, it'll take care of itself. You know what I mean? Just the fact that he's a good lad, you know. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Eric Horn, the Oklahoman. Stephen, just from the small amount of time that you
sneaky, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I'm on the front row, not that sneaky.
Yeah, it's weird. I never looked down there. Go.
Okay. Short amount of time you've had to spend with Dennis. I don't know if you even had any time with him on the court.
Yeah,
but
with Shroud, Dennis?
Yeah, with Dennis.
Yeah.
What have you seen from his game in terms of the pick and roll, being able to screen for him, and how do you see meshing his game with Russell's as well, and those guys potentially playing together?
Meshing it together?
Yeah,
How's
those
it
two,
gonna?
their games meshing together when they play together.
Yeah, I mean, Shroud is, he's a very quick guard. Again, another familiar face. I worked out with him in some of my pre-draft workouts, which is cool. So his ability just to read the different screens and, well, not just read them, but like set up his man, if that makes sense. In order for screening, it's a big difference that I notice in guards that know how to use pick and rolls and stuff like that. He does. He knows how to use that, and his tempo off that, his pace off that is very, it's very clean. Again, this is just from summer. can't really base anything really off that, like too much solid stuff from that, you know, because it's still pickup basketball, you know, stuff like that. But, you know, he should be fine, mate. He'll be right. Yeah.
Another weird, well, this isn't weird, but another kind of technical question on the, I think
self-awareness is good.
the NBA implemented some new rules this summer, or the Board of Governors voted on some new rules, and one of them pertains to the shot clock resetting to 14 after an offensive rebound. And I just wanted to ask you, just being such a great offensive rebounder as you are, you know, how do you think that affects what you do and what the offense will do when the shot clock resets to 14 as opposed to 24?
No, it won't affect it too much, mate, honestly. Like, because if unless you're running out the clock, like if you the whole 24 seconds, which I don't think most teams do. Most of the shots there, they're quick kick-out shots because, you know, offensive rebound, most of the defense, they're quite scrambled. So usually you get a quick shot, usually off rebounds, offensive rebounds. But then again, like, you know, you have plenty of time to still run your offense if you can get into it fast enough, obviously. You still have time to run that. So, I mean, I don't see it affecting too much. I'm guessing you're meaning like, are people just going to try and go back up with it straight away? Is that what you're kind of asking, or no?
I didn't really have an intention. I just wanted to just ask because you.
But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on it, bro. It's just like it won't affect much. 14 seconds is plenty of time to still kind of get into a decent set. Probably max 2 screens. Yeah, if you're fast, you know what I mean? Yeah, so you'll be fine.
Stephen, as kind of a power-type player, how have you adjusted your game over the last couple of years as the center position has become a little bit more perimeter-oriented?
What have I done to what, sorry, mate?
Just how to keep up with that aspect of things. I mean, the center position, you got guys shooting threes, running the floor more than they did maybe when you first started.
Yeah. Mate, I'm a bit stupid. How have I developed a... Oh, adjusted. Yeah, I mean, the main thing was just, you know, just changing foot position and kind of habits coming off the pick and roll defense. Other than that, mate, yeah, it's just all the same stuff. Because that's where probably all of them really, they get their shots off just pick and rolls, pick and pops, stuff like that. So, you know, I guess it was just, that was the biggest adjustment, was just treating them mostly like Dirk. Like Dirk, for instance, like you'd 100% would never take a step back because he'll launch it, right? It's always towards him on the perimeter. Yeah, painting quite a picture here for you, mate. But yes, that's the biggest adjustment I made over the last years.
Dean Blevins, News 9 Sports. I don't know if you've been around enough of the team enough to have a feel or a vibe. Have you been around them enough, and is this vibe different than other teams that you've been on here in Oklahoma City?
So just to catch a vibe from them?
Well, just the feeling of the team. I mean, the positive feeling or whatever the feeling is. What are you sensing, the mood of this bunch? It's a different crew.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a different crew, but one of the main things is that the culture that the organization has built, it's, you know, you have your front runners, obviously Russ, for instance, like leading us, like it's, you come in excited always, you know, whatever the season is, whoever you have, because you just can't ignore it. Like you can't just be kind of like, whatever, especially in this organization because everything's done so well. So yeah, it's just one of those things, mate. It's always been that vibe from last year before, since my rookie season. It's always been that. You know what I mean? Yeah, they're really consistent around here, mate. It's always good.
Stephen, you kind of hinted at it, but right.
Oh, yeah, I know. Sorry, mate. Yeah,
dude, it's all right. Yeah. You don't know me. It's all right. So you kind of hinted at it. Are we? You know, you mentioned that you're kind of working on a 3-point shot. Are we going to see you shoot the 3 ball this season?
Shoot a 3?
Yeah, maybe.
No.
What?
No.
Right, well,
absolutely not.
Man,
maybe. No, just maybe. Pre-season?
Maybe try it. I don't know.
No, I got to see, mate, because, yeah, I don't want to lose my job. It's tough.
Yeah, Stephen, Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. You've got one of the NBA's more unique personalities. My question is...
Way to sugarcoat that one, mate. Cheers.
My question is...
What a guy.
Is this the persona the public sees and the media sees? Is that your personality in private, in the locker room, and in your private life also?
I don't know. Probably not. I'm quite an awkward guy. This is just, it's a weird situation, especially to ask someone if it's like a personal, that how they personally act when they're up on stage. It's a different sort of thing. Like if me and you go have a beer, mate, it'll be a different interaction just because of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? But sure, I'm just an awkward guy, mate. Let's just leave it at that, yeah?
How much of your uniqueness among NBA personalities?
How many of what?
How much of your uniqueness among personalities compared to other NBA players is just because of that personality, or how much of it is just being a New Zealander? I mean, are you a typical New Zealander personality-wise?
Yeah, I think so, mate. Yeah, I'm just normal Kiwi guy, I think, mate. Some of the stuff that you guys laugh at, like, they won't laugh at it there. It's just different, mate. Yeah, different cultures, mate. So, yeah, you could just say, I'm a Kiwi guy. Awkward Kiwi guy, mate. Keep it simple.
Hey, Stephen.
Hey, mate. How you doing?
So you opened yourself up a little bit this summer when you did your autobiography.
Yeah.
And in that book, you had some insider information that probably many do not know about in normal terms of media. And so how has that reaction been to your autobiography and some of the things that were said in it?
Just reaction from
Yeah,
people,
just
general
media
public.
or just general public.
Yeah, it's been good. Get a really good response from it. Because it's a well-written book. Madeline did an amazing job. The Kiwi girl, the one that Ghost wrote it for me. Yeah, she's did an amazing job making the book. So yeah, it's a pretty good read, mate. Pretty good read.
Stephen, last season y'all bring in Carmelo a couple days before camp. I guess Billy had the plan to start Patrick Patterson at power forward. What do you see being the difference in having a guy like Patrick or Jeremy at power forward starting alongside you as opposed to a guy like Carmelo?
It's just different, mate. It's just different. They all bring their own whatever to that lineup. You know what I mean? Again, this is just one of those, whatever the strategy is that coach has, and whatever role or whatever it is that he sees fit for the strategy, then that's what needs to go into it, and that's what needs to happen. So it ain't like, I don't know. It's a weird comparison. You can't really compare it. Yeah, it's just weird. It's just like if they play small, like when I'm out. You know what I mean? Again, it's just a different dynamic. And not saying that any of them is better than the other. It's just that a team might struggle with small ball a lot more than say, playing big. Just whatever fits that scenario or whatever fits that game. Whatever. Did I answer your question, mate? I'm not sure.
Somewhat.
Huh? I didn't.
You typically get around to it.
I did?
You typically get there.
Fucking wanker. What is your piss off, mate?
I actually had something about
Get him out of here. What is he doing? Oh, wanker. Go watch a movie.
What have you thought about what you've seen from Andre, and just personally as a friend of his, what have you thought about being able to see him kind of get back on the court and get back to, getting back to where he was before?
Oh, what have I seen from him?
Yeah, what have you seen from him? And as a friend personally, what have you thought about him being able to get back onto the court?
As a friend, obviously I want to see him on the floor, hands down. That's given. But I don't know too much about his progress, but he has been doing everything that he can. You know what I mean? Because the dude loves the sport, man, and he loves what he does. You know what I mean? So he's doing everything he can in terms of rehab, staying pretty much whole summer here in Oklahoma. Just making sure that he, locks down on it. He's a good dude, man. He'll do everything he can. And that's all I've seen from him, honestly.
Stephen, a question was posed to Russ earlier about how being a father kind of changes things. You've been around him for a few years now. Have you noticed any differences in Russ as he gets older and becomes a father?
Nah, not really. I think when anyone says that, it's more internal, and I don't think anyone else really picks up on any of that. It's more just kind of, because you have a kid, so then you it's just like a mirror, really, isn't it? Yeah, I am not a parent. I don't know, but that's what it seems like. It's just a mirror. So I think it's more his own kind of evaluation on himself. Yeah, none of us will see it though, which is fair. Something for yourself, I guess. Anyway. Thank you. Squires.
Yeah, Patrick, Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. One of the off-season mantras from Sam and Billy and whatnot is that they'd like to play faster, up-tempo, and they've talked about how you can help that, not necessarily because foot speed, but ball speed. You're one of the better ball movers. Can you talk about how that's a skill you have that could increase the tempo of this team, even if you're not one of the fastest guys around?
Yeah, just about trying to get the basketball from one side to the other, get the basketball up the court quickly as possible with my passing ability and being able to find guys out on the court, not necessarily literally pushing it in transition or having to shoot the ball, but just trying to find the right opportunity for a teammate to take advantage of, whether it's off a drive or whether it's off a quick post-up or whether it's just passing it that leads to an assist or another opportunity for a shot. So I can understand Coach, wants to get more shots earlier into the shot clock or just trying to find better opportunities for us early in the shot clock. And that, in turn, will create more looks throughout the course of the game and give us an opportunity to put up more points.
Patrick, last season with the roster shakeup right before camp, you came in to be the starting four. Did you feel maybe a little bit uncomfortable playing the five off the bench? And I guess more to that point, are you excited to maybe play what's perhaps a more natural position for you at the four this season?
I mean, my whole life I've played either the five or the four, going all the way up into, my sophomore or junior year at the University of Kentucky. I was playing five. I really didn't play four until my last year at Kentucky with DeMarcus, and then I was moved to the four for the first time ever. So I'm used to playing 5 and 4. Nowadays, the way the NBA is leaning towards is having, either that athletic 5-man or having like a 6'8", 6'6", 5-man who can rebound, play defense, and switch out on screens. The game's getting a lot faster. It's not really slow pace anymore. So for me, it's just being able to go out there and just play hard, whether I'm at the 5, whether I'm at the 4. No matter what position I'm at, being able to move my feet and being that guy that my teammates can rely on.
Patrick, Jeff Patterson with the Oklahoman. Obviously, this year is a lot different for you health-wise. Just describe, your mindset coming into the season versus a year ago.
Yeah, so a year ago, obviously coming off the surgery and having to work my way back up from that point. This off-season, actually having the opportunity to have a complete off-season, complete summer under my belt, focusing on my body, focusing on being healthy, and then now coming into training camp and actually partaking into training camp, actually partaking in preseason and all the practices, all the workouts, all the games. So for me right now, it's just building that chemistry with my teammates on and off the court. On the court, just showing what I can do, of course, shooting the ball, moving the ball, rebounding, playing great defense, and just having fun. I didn't get that opportunity to do that last year, but finally this season I get that. So I just want to go out there and just be that guy that my teammates know I can be.
Yeah, Patrick, the pretty good offseason for the Thunder with Paul George re-upping. Was that a case of you could see that coming closer and closer to fruition during last season? Could you tell that he was becoming more acclimated into the culture of the team? And tell us your confidence level at the end of the season on Paul coming back.
Honestly, I had no idea. Of course, you could see that the chemistry that him and Russ shared, him and Coach Donovan shared, and the rest of the team that we all had with him. There's always that chemistry, always that friendship, that bond that we shared. But at the end of the day, you don't know what's going on in his head. He's the only one who knows. So just going off of that, off of what I saw physically, I had full confidence that he was coming back just because the way that, we hung out together, the way we were around with one another, I believed he was coming back, but I didn't know 100% because, like I said, you don't know what goes on in a person's head. Only that person does.
Patrick, what's the best movie you've seen this summer?
Ooh, that's a great question. Best movie I've seen this summer would be, it's a movie called Farming. I saw it at TIFF. It's a true story about a young black kid who was put into a skinhead group until he was 16. So it's a very powerful, emotional movie. Hopefully you don't walk out of the theater when you see some scenes, but it's a very inspirational movie.
Other questions for Pat?
One more.
Patrick, Eric Horn, the Oklahoman. Billy wasn't very forthcoming about whether or not you were going to start or Jeremy was going to start, but considering that going into last season, that was the plan for you to start, and you guys had extensive time to figure that out before Carmelo came. Is that what you want, and do you want to be that starting power forward this season?
I mean, of course, as a competitor, as an NBA player, as a guy who loves the game, I would love to start. Same thing if you ask Jeremy, he'll say the same question. But at the end of the day, as long as I have a positive role, as long as I have an impact on this team, and most importantly, as long as I'm playing, whether I start, whether I come off the bench, it doesn't matter. Whichever one is better for the team overall, whoever fits best in that starting role with the starters and whoever fits best in the bench role with the second unit, as long as I'm playing, as long as I'm out there with those guys, whichever one I'm at, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, Patrick. The four of the starters seem pretty well set with the four veterans. The one thing that four-man unit doesn't have a lot of is the three-point shot. It seems like that's something you could provide. How, when you're out there with those four guys, which you didn't play a lot with those four last year, but when you're out there with them, how valuable do you think your shot from the three-point line is?
I mean, anyone at that position. Jeremy shot the ball, I thought, pretty well at the four. And I assume his shot's gotten a lot better working on it this summer. Myself, I'm a good three-point shooter, so that forward definitely has to be a good three-point shooter. Not only be able to play defense, move his feet, play in the post, and being able to switch out on the perimeter, but be able to space the floor, pass the ball, hit open shots whenever those opportunities arise. So, like I said, whether that's me, whether that's Jeremy, as long as that person who's in that spot is able to, knock down threes on a consistent basis, that's the main focus.
Anybody else?
Cool.
Thanks, Pat.
Yep.
Hey, Alex. Jacob with Thunderheads. I just wanted to know, this past offseason, when obviously last season was disappointing for the whole team for a host of reasons. Did you come into the summer with a goal for your specific game that you thought, this summer, this is something that I need to improve, this is something that I want to refine for next season?
Yeah, I think team didn't end as the way it's planned, but for me especially, I think I show myself that I could be a great defender. So I think that's one of my focuses for this year. Just be more consistent and just keep growing as a good defender. Also, not forgetting that I'm also a threat in the three-point and offensive standpoint. So.
Yeah, Alex, pretty good off season for the Thunder. Keeping Paul, adding some of the guys. How much, when you're off doing your own thing in the summer, how much do you follow what's going on with the roster and the additions, the subtractions, all those kinds of things, and your overall assessment of what Sam Presti ended up doing?
I'll try to read everything. It's my team, it's my job. So when I come here, I need to know who are going to be my teammates. If we change it, we change a lot, in medical stuff too. So and a couple coaches. So I need to be ready. As you said, I might be in Spain doing my thing, but I'm not forgetting that I'm a Thunder player and this job and a part of my job.
Eric Horney, Oklahoman. Alex, if you've had an opportunity to work with Dennis, what have you thought about his game, and what impressions have you taken from the way that Dennis plays? Because I imagine that you two will be playing together a lot in the second unit.
He's a great player. I think he's the point guard that we need. He can score in so many ways. He's so crafty. He can do our second unit much better by pushing the ball and just keeping moving the ball like we did most part of the last year. And especially for me, like I'm a shooter, so I'll be wide open. That opens, same as Russ, that opens a lot of space, so he can drive and then he can either finish or just pass the ball to the 3-point line.
Last year, you had a lot of open shots, and they just didn't fall for you in some instances. Do you think about that, or is there anything that you can do to fix that if you just miss open shots?
I just try to go day after day, and we know as shooters we have some better days than others. And of course, like when I'm mad because I didn't score shots, the next day I'll take care and just shoot a little bit more after practice. But you know how it goes. Like sometimes there's that thing that you can score and you can do nothing about it. And just getting ready for the next game and try to do it better.
How did you feel about Spain's performance in the World Cup and also Real Madrid winning Champions League?
About soccer, I'm not talking about soccer, right? I'm trying to forget that. Obviously, I'm a Barca fan, so I mean, congrats to all, because I got friends that play for Madrid, so congrats to all of them. But yeah, as a Barca fan, I'm quite mad. We won the Spanish league and the King's Cup, but as long as Madrid wins the championship, it's not good enough. So hope this year we won. And what's the other question? Oh, for next year? No. Oh, for the soccer. It's pretty bad too. Yeah, we've been struggling the last couple of years. I thought we have a good generation with 2 Euro Cups and 1 World Cup of the last decade. And I think just we're changing a lot of the new team, adding a lot of young players. So I think we will need time to get back there.
Yeah, Alex, we all still think of you a pretty young player and fairly new player to the Thunder, but you're actually, I think, the 4th ranking Thunder in terms of longevity with the team. Are you starting to feel like a veteran and a team leader and those kinds of things? And will that change your role in the locker room or the practice court or any of those places?
Yeah, I thought about that actually a couple of days ago. It's crazy because it looks like I arrived yesterday here. But it's my 3rd year, and as you said, I'm the 4th guy who's been most time in Thunder. So I think I can help the guys, especially the new ones, to let them know like how we work here, what are the standards for the Thunder organization, and of course like help as a team as much as I can. Obviously, I think I'm getting better each year, and this year is another step forward.
Alex, you got married over the summer.
Yes.
How was that experience, and is that why you had to shave your beard?
No. Yes, it was a great experience, probably the best one so far in my life. Everything went great in my hometown. All my friends were there. I was happy, really happy. And the beard is not because of that. It's just I needed a change and for the pictures and everything. But don't worry, I'll let it grow for the beginning of the season.
Anybody else?
Thank you, guys.
Hey, Jeremy. Are there things that we may see in your game this season that we maybe didn't get to see last season?
I think it just depends on how we put the offense in and things like that. I have been working a lot on my entire game this summer, so yep, we'll see.
Yeah, Jeremy, Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. Sam and Billy have talked in the offseason about how they would like to play faster, more up-tempo. Seems like that fits right into your game, getting up and down the floor. How do you receive that news, and what can you guys do to increase that tempo?
I'm definitely just excited. I love playing that way. I have for my whole life, so just to get an opportunity to be in a system like this is big for me and big for our team.
Jeremy, it seemed like the deal that you got done in free agency was done pretty quickly. Same with Paul's. I mean, what was that process like, and how easy was it for you to get that done, and how long did it take for you?
Like you said, it did get done quickly. It was a no-brainer though. I love the organization. I love my teammates, my coaching staff, and everything. So it really wasn't a hard decision for me.
You know, it was going into the offseason, there were a lot of questions about the Thunder in terms of the luxury tax and how much money they were going to have to pay. I mean, what does that say to you that the Thunder was willing to re-sign you and bring you back and pay the money that they did for you and Paul, considering how much they're going to be paying out in luxury tax potentially this year?
It's huge. It's huge. It says a lot. It says that they believe in me and believe in the pieces that we have. So it definitely means a lot, and just want to keep going forward from here.
What did you tell Nerlens once you figured out that he was going to be coming here?
Yeah, we definitely talked about it. I just told him just to be ready. I think, like we talked about, the style of play fits his style as well as mine. So I just told him to be ready as soon as he gets here to make an impact.
Have you had an opportunity to work with Dennis yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, just from what you've seen from him and what you've heard from other people, what do you see about his game that might fit with what you do? You know, you being a guy that can roll to the rim, catch lobs. Y'all are presumably going to be working in the second unit a lot together as well.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely excited to be playing with him as well. Obviously, he's a huge talent. It's big for us, so definitely looking forward to getting that rolling.
Jeremy, Jacob Mann with Thunderheads. When we were talking to Nerlens earlier, he mentioned that he was really excited to develop in OKC because he specifically mentioned you and your development and how much your game has evolved and how well-rounded you are, and he's excited about being here. And were there words of encouragement when he got here that you know, what was that like when he came and you guys found out that you were going to be able to be on the court together and you guys were going to be able to kind of grow together this season?
Yeah, as soon as we were talking about it throughout the summer, and I think I was just telling them just to be ready. Just telling them, well, speaking from my game, I think my game kind of spoke for itself. Just how much better I got from the first time I stepped on the court here till now. So just in that, I think he kind of got excited, and yeah, I was just telling him that the staff and organization does a great job of getting you better and things like that. So.
Yeah, Jeremy, I just asked Nerlens. I asked Alex this. He's got you beat by about a week in terms of games, in terms of longevity. But he's the fourth-ranking player in terms of service with the Thunder, and you're right behind him. Do you need to take on a leadership role, even though you're a fairly young player, still not considered, much of a grizzled vet, but you've been here longer than two-thirds of the team? Does that change your role any in terms of become more of a team leader on the court, off the court, in the locker room, anywhere?
It definitely does. I think, especially for the young guys, just to kind of coach them up and do whatever I can. Obviously, we have leaders like Russ, PG, that take care of a lot of that. But I definitely think my role in that sense has grown a little bit.
Anybody else? Thanks, Jeremy.
Yep.
defense. A lot of familiar faces in here. Nice. Question 1.
Eric Horney, Oklahoman. Dre, how do you feel about where you are in terms of your progress, and do you feel like you'll be back to contact soon?
I feel great. Every day I feel better, more comfortable on my leg, more comfortable in my abilities. Main key for me right now is staying focused, staying committed to the process. Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't rush things. It's been a long, tedious process. 8 months going on 9. So, getting there. I'm excited. Day by day progress is showing, but more so week by week. So I'm good, just grinding it out. And, contact will be soon.
Hey, Dre, Jacob Mann with Thunderheads. With seeing the team decline defensively after your injury last season, obviously you wouldn't wish that on them, and you're a good dude. I know you wouldn't do that. But, what I'm wondering is that a boost to your confidence? Like when you're coming back this season, you see what a vital cog to the defensive effort you were to this team. What does that do for your game? Do you come and play the same game, or do you come back even maybe more invigorated than maybe you were before?
I mean, nah. I feel like I always played that in the floor pretty hard, and that won't ever change. So I guess you can kind of answer that question yourself. I come back the same attitude, same mindset. Just continue to work hard. Not only my rehab, but my overall game. Just been practicing, doing a lot of things. So it's just been a great downtime for me, to better myself, not just my physical aspect, but mental as well. Show me a lot of things in a different perspective, which was great. So it's good.
With you rehabbing everything like that, what could you actually do on the floor to improve your game
Right now?
Yeah, like just throughout the summer.
It's been tough to get to this point where I'm at right now, where I'm pretty much, doing a little bit of everything. It's just very limited. Because we don't want to overdo it or over push anything. So I'm being monitored very closely. But it's just been stages to where I've just doing chair things to standing, just doing regular standing stuff to bending knees, dribbling, shooting free throws, and extending my range to 3-pointer. Just slowly progressing. Just fundamentals of the basketball game. So just good to kind of touch the ball and keep it in my hands. It's coming close to almost a year not playing basketball, so just got to keep with it and stay strong mentally. So touching the ball helps, and I'll do anything and everything I can to kind of keep that swagger, I guess you can say. So that's good.
Yandre Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. I asked Steven this when he was in here a few minutes ago. You guys are good friends, but is he as quirky and funny in private as he is with us and with the media?
With media?
Yeah, no. Is he
the same as in person as he is in media?
The Steven we see, is that who you guys see?
For sure, yeah. Just a little bit more censored around the media, let's just put it that way. But he's definitely the same dude. Definitely, nonetheless, same dude.
Now, he says that may just be the New Zealand way. He might be just a normal Kiwi. Do you think that's true, or you think he's just naturally funny anyway?
I think it's a mix of both. The Kiwi way and the American way. New day and age. Now you gotta play the media into your hands, and I feel like a lot of guys are starting to do that around the league as well. Just expressing themselves. But Steve's a little different. He has a different background, different culture, which is totally different than America, which is it's a good, positive way. But he's just mixing both worlds and creating his own, which it makes him special. So it's good.
How nice is it after, unfortunately you had to watch, but to come back with Paul and with Jeremy coming back to the team, and just what that adds to your excitement about this upcoming season?
It's great. We're signing back PG, signing back Jeremy. It's great. Fortunately, we didn't keep Melo, one of my good friends and, good teammate. But, it's pretty much the same guys we're coming back with, minus a couple pieces, and picking up, Dennis, Nerlens, TLC, and Abdul. It's going to be great. I feel like we're a lot more versatile team this year. And, the game of basketball is changing in a way. And, everybody's trying to adapt. And I feel like we got a lot of pieces, that gives us a lot of versatility and different styles of play the game of basketball. So it's going to be good. Big Steve on the inside, Nerlens, to kind of back him up. We'll play alongside him. A lot of stretch floor guys like Pat, Jeremy. So it's going to be good. Got a strong team this year, in my opinion.
Billy's talked about this in the summer, and so has Sam, but the need to play faster, not just in speed of play, but speed of thought. What are your thoughts on that philosophy and how you all will apply that this season?
I actually like it, to be honest. The game of basketball is only getting faster. Like I said, the game's changing. It's evolving. Small ball, I guess you could say. Less bump and bang as it was back in the day. But, you got to be able to adjust on the fly, and I think that's what they're talking about. Being able to accept things, accept roles, different play thrown at you, or a different adjustment, to an opposing team or maybe within our team. So we gotta be willing to accept that and, be professionals and, adjust on the fly.
You said a few weeks ago, Andre, that in San Antonio in a TV interview that you kind of expected maybe December or even maybe Christmas as the timetable for your return. Are you still consistent with that, or are you hopeful now maybe that it might be a little quicker?
I'm not really putting a specific date on anything. I just said around December is for me, there's a return to basketball and there's a return to performance. Being back to my elite self on a defensive end, and me just being clear to play basketball is two different things. And it's going to be a process to kind of get back to where I was. Just me being comfortable with my leg again and me getting back into the rhythm of basketball, sitting out so long. So there's a lot of variables that go into it, and that's why I kind of said December in my eyes. I'll probably be clear before then for basketball. It's just the transition to me getting back to that elite status again. So it's going to be good. I'm enjoying every bit of it. It's challenging, but it's helping me grow. So I love it.
You're enjoying rehab? It's a nightmare, right?
It's a nightmare, but I enjoy it. You gotta love it. There's ups and downs in everything we do in life.
Or
So.
do you enjoy it now because you can kind of see the finish line maybe?
There's days I dreaded it, but I've come to peace with myself now that I accept what is, and everything happens for a reason, and you got to twist it in your favor to make it a positive light. So that's what I've done along the way to help me accept it a little better. So I've definitely enjoyed it. It helped me grow and helped me become a better person and a better man, better basketball player. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Dre, with the year away from basketball, like you said, have you done anything away from the gym or away from the court to kind of keep your morale up or keep your spirits up?
That was probably the biggest battle. Just a lot of questioning myself, but I've did some traveling here and there. Trying to go to places I've never been before. I went to Hawaii, never been to Hawaii. I went to Spain. Then I went to Alex's wedding. Went a quick trip to Mexico. Just little trips here and there to kind of relieve myself of, pressures I put on myself, I guess you could say, and just, the everyday grind of rehab. And it's just kind of a little getaway and a refresher, to keep building. So, like you said, it wasn't fun, but I come to a point where, I'm at peace with myself and just grinding it out every day. So it's good.
Back here, Paul George credited you and your relationship with him as one of the reasons he came back. Did you reach out to him this summer and recruit him, or what kind of role did you play in that?
We have an off-the-court relationship, and I think he kind of understands how I feel about him as well, and I think I think he knows that I wanted him back, but I necessarily didn't reach out to him or try to recruit him in any way. I think we both know where we stand on that. Like he knows I want him here, obviously by my side, and vice versa. So, he's a great guy nonetheless. But I'm very happy and pleased that he stayed for sure. I think I can say that for every Oklahoman. So, yeah.
Thanks, Andre.
Thank you.
Hey, Dennis. Jacob Mann with Thunderheads. Obviously we know you have a great respect for the Hawks organization and for your time there and your development there. When you're looking forward and when you look at Oklahoma City and when you realized that you were coming to the team, were there things about the organization and the team that you thought, man, maybe there's some new opportunities for my game to evolve here. There's some new things that I can do here that maybe I couldn't do before?
I think first off, to be in this organization, to see every day Russell Westbrook, Paul George, practicing, see what they do off the court and on the court, I think was a big thing for me, and organization. I met everyone. I met coaching staff. I met front office, all the people, and it's like a big family. So I'm excited, to be here. And be a part of this organization. Oh, is it?
Eric Horn, the Oklahoman. Dennis, you mentioned Russell just now, and I think we've heard that Russell's a guy that you kind of tailored some of your game around. What is it like to play with him, be on the floor with him? We saw you guys have played pickup together this summer. What's that experience been like for you? And how do you think it's going to fit with you two on the court together?
I think when we played in LA, UCLA, it was me, Raymond, Russell, and Paul George, and it was pretty fast, and it was really tough to guard us, and that's what really excites me right now, to play with Russ and Paul George, to be out there with them. I think it means a lot for me.
And, with the Hawks, in the last couple of seasons you started, but the last time you didn't come off the bench, you guys had a really good team. I think it was like a 60-win team, and you were playing against a lot of second units. How do you feel about being a guy who comes off the bench again and is able to play against second units?
I never, talked about my situation, how it's going to be. All I know is whatever it takes, for the team to win games, I do it. And if I'm coming off the bench, if I start, whatever it is, I'll be ready for that challenge because I think we got a special group this year, and we can surprise a lot of teams.
Dennis, with the defensive identity of the Thunder, with a lot of these great guys that can really lock down, do you feel like you as a defensive player have the freedom to really up your intensity as well and really just fit in with this new defensive identity? Obviously, you've had stretches where you were incredibly defensive. Do you feel like this is a great opportunity for you to come in and really buy into that identity?
For sure. My first 4 years, that got me my playing time defensively, and my fifth year, the motivation for the defensive end because I had so much to do on the offensive end. So I took a step back on the defensive end, and this year, like I said, it's a new chapter, and I'm ready. And yeah, like I said, on both ends of the floor, I want to be a big part of, of the team.
Yeah, Dennis, Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. Stephen mentioned that you guys had done some of your pre-draft workouts together, and then you spent the last 4 or 5 years playing against him. Mm-hmm. He seems like a sort of an unpopular player to play against, but a really popular player to play with. Mm-hmm. What's the difference in the two that you can tell? I mean, how much of How much of a sort of an enemy is he when he's your opponent, but you're glad he's on your team?
I remember his screen still. He's a good screener, a good roller. I think I watched so many games last year, when Russ played pick and roll with him, he catches almost every ball and finishes every ball. And I think it's an honor to play with a player like Steven Adams. And I think Russell thinks the same way.
Dennis, why'd you cut your hair?
I had to. It's a new start, and but don't worry, the gold patch is coming back. My hair just needs to grow faster, so.
Dennis, what can you tell us about your current legal situation in Atlanta? I know that you were up for a potential battery charge there, and what can you tell us about that?
Appreciate you for the question. I knew it's gonna come. It's in process still. Nothing to worry about, but like I said, I'm ready to be here in Oklahoma, and get it started.
Anything else? Thanks, Dennis.
All right.
Terrence Ferguson up next.
Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. Terrence, what would you say is the biggest change do you think is going to be in your game from your rookie year?
Definitely my body, and I took the time after my summer just to really focus on my body each and every day. And then also my decision making, making plays for myself, making plays for others, which I worked all summer on with Darko.
Hey, Terrence, Jacob Mann with Thunderheads. With the summer league was kind of an uncomfortable experience for you. You were playing in a role that was a little bit different than you're accustomed to. Was that almost a learning experience for you? Were you able to glean certain aspects from that experience? It obviously wasn't comfortable, but were you able to take certain things and say, okay, well, I can take this into this next season in my more natural role?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Like you said, it was definitely uncomfortable. And at times I was like, do I really want to do this? But, I thought about it and I felt like, to be victorious, you always got to fail. People who fail a lot always come out on top. So I took that as a learning experience, and I kept working, and I'm doing the same thing now. But I feel way more comfortable at it.
Just on a sort of a personal side, how do you feel different? You're a 19-year-old rookie this time last year, never played in the NBA. Now you've got a full season behind you, and some other young guys are now on the team. You're sort of not by yourself anymore. Just on a personal level, how much more comfortable and confident do you feel?
Once you get a year under your belt, you always feel more comfortable. Last year was definitely new to me. Obviously, playing my first year, but coming into this year, 20 years old, having a year under my belt, definitely feel more confident, more focused. Changed my body up, changed my eating habits up. And I got a little girl on the way, so that changed my whole focus up as well.
Looking ahead to your game in Tulsa in a few weeks, being a Tulsa native, just what's the excitement level in that, and how has your fan base grown, also being from the area?
I'm always excited to go back home to Tulsa, and I was over there not too long ago visiting the Gathering Place, and all about that Tulsa trip. I'm gonna need like 10 tickets. I'm gonna need like 10, probably 20. I'm gonna need a lot of tickets for that Tulsa trip. Thank you, guys.
Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. Deontay, what was the summer like for you? You get on the summer league team, do a great job, and get signed by the Thunder. What was that whole process like for you?
Scary. It was really scary to be playing with your like nose broke and not knowing like everything right away. So that was really nerve-wracking.
How tough was that to play with the nose situation, knowing that you're trying to make an impression for your career and all those things? Had you ever gone through anything like that before, and how do you think you did?
No, that was my first time having some adversity like that. And I think I did well with it. Playing with the mask, it kind of threw off my depth perception, but I managed.
We asked Abdul this, a couple Iowa State guys in town now. Does it help to have an old pal from college as you come to someplace new?
Yes, because you're able to get more comfortable faster because you have somebody who is going through it with you and you know them personally, so it helps a lot.
Hey, Deontay, where do you see yourself playing in the NBA? Some people have you listed as a wing, some as maybe like a 3-4, small ball 4. Where do you see yourself playing in the league?
I see myself playing wherever it gets me on the floor. I don't really care where I play. I just want to be on the floor.
Anybody else? All right, thanks, John.
Thank you.
Yeah, Timothy, Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. You got traded here in the summer. What were your immediate thoughts on the trade? And you've had some time to process it. Where do you see you fitting in on this roster?
I think it's great opportunities for me and for the team. Opportunities to learn as a player and as a man. I've been here just one team. It's my first team as a foreign player. It's always good to learn from other places, other cities, other people, and experience more coaches, more people. So I saw that as an opportunity, and opportunity also to build something here and bring everything it can bring.
Your few years in Philly, when you looked at the Thunder before you got here, what were your thoughts about the team you were playing against and also the organization as a whole? Did you know much about them?
About Oklahoma?
About Oklahoma, but the Thunder in particular.
Didn't know much. Didn't know much. But maybe all the guys that was here for a long time. Nick Collison, Russ, Steven, Andre. Um, I always heard good things about the organization, about the city and the fans. Um, that's the only thing I knew about the city and about the Thunder before. Yep.
Hey Tim, Jacob, man with Thunderheads. When you watch film, I asked Nerlens this question. When you watch film of last season with the Thunder, are there things that you see that maybe the Thunder were lacking last season, specifically maybe with their bench unit, that you look at and you say, I can help with that. That's something that I'm excited to come in and maybe help fill, or are you just kind of waiting for those things to come?
I think the biggest thing that the team did last year was running, especially with Russ, running the whole game and like being intense the whole game, and that's something I can bring, and something that I know I have in me, and I can also bring my thing in it. So that's something I like to run and just to play intense, and also play defense, like bring that thing into the team, into the bench, into the team. So yeah, that's something I saw last year, and something I'm looking forward this year. Yeah.
You've got a pretty good reputation for defense as a guy that plays pretty good defense and can even get a lot better. How do you see yourself in terms of your defense and the level that you can get to as a defender on the wing in this league?
As good as I can get. I think in this team I have like pretty good players in defense, like Paul George and Andre. In this particular aspect of the game, so I can't wait to learn from them and just getting better. I know I have that, and I know I can be an elite defender in this league, and I can help the team really well in this aspect. So I'm looking forward to learn from these guys.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
And Tyler Davis.
Just those two.
Yep, last two.
Hello. Oh, okay. Let's go.
Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. Amadou, you go to second round in the draft, sort of uncertain, and you get the trade, and then the Thunder. From my perspective, what's that? This is Tyler Davis.
Yeah, I was undrafted.
Sorry, I thought you was Diallo. My mistake.
That's
Let me
okay.
ask you this: you a recent signee, just in the last couple of weeks. What made you want to come here and think this was an opportunity to get something going with the Thunder?
Well, when I came here for my NBA draft workout, I could just remember thinking about the people I had met and how well they treated me. That maybe was drafted, whatever. But I mean, they took care of me and they welcomed me, and it's just an excellent organization. It's built well, it's taken care of, and they expect excellence from you as a person. So it's been a good past couple of months here. Come on, guys.
This was a team sort of thin at center last year. Grant and Patterson did a whole lot of backing up Steven Adams.
Yeah.
Now there's more depth with Adams and Nerlens. Makes it tougher for a roster spot, but it looks like it might be better in terms of your development going against those guys in practice. How do you look forward to going against those guys on a daily basis?
I mean, I've been doing that every day for the past few weeks, so it's been amazing. I mean, I watched these guys growing up, watched them in college, watched them when they first stepped into the league, and now I get to compete with them and learn from them and ask them so many questions. They get sick of me. So, it's been cool. It's been a dream come true so far. So, learning experience every day.
Tyler, so this summer, I think you were thinking about playing for the Puerto Rican national team, and then that kind of fell through. What happened with that?
It didn't fall through. It was just I knew that what I want to do now is more important than that. I'm a two-way guy, so I'm not in a position where I can just leave and miss a lot of time. Every day for me counts right now, especially being around the coaches and the players and learning. So I didn't want to miss the time that it would have taken for me to go there and practice and play. But I'll definitely play for them, soon.
Anybody else?
It's on record that I got one. Hamidou, Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. You're a second-round draft pick, and then you get the trade with the Thunder. Talk about the emotions and of what you went through around the draft process. And from my perspective, at least, the Thunder treated you like a first-round draft pick. I mean, they wanted you and they signed you and all those things that don't automatically come to second-round picks.
First off, I would say draft night was definitely a long process. A lot of emotions between me and my family, but I feel like it was a great night and ended up in a great place. And after draft night, the work started. So I was focused on Summer League and getting ready to attack Summer League, working hard day in and day out. And when I went out to Summer League, I felt like I took care of business out there. I feel like we could have won a couple more games, but we didn't. So we had to just come back and the grind started all over again.
DL Jacob Mann with Thunderheads. When you have such a great showing in Summer League, what does that do for your confidence coming into this season? Is that something you think about, like trying to continue that rhythm, or is it always in the back of your mind that, well, this is Summer League, this is a kind of a different game? Like, how does that transition when you move into the regular season?
I mean, as a basketball player, it does, but at the end of the day, Summer League is Summer League, and it has nothing to do with the real season. Pretty much not even all the guys that was on Summer League is on this real season team. There's only like 3-4 people, so you got to take that into account.
What do you see your role being for this season?
Right now, I mean, I haven't identified my role with no coaches or anything like that. Just been trying to learn as much as possible and be a sponge for this year. I mean, a bunch of veteran guys, a bunch of great players, and just try to learn from them and try to pick up all the good habits that they have.
Yeah, you get here, you got two Kentucky guys besides yourself on the roster. Are we seeing a takeover? We're going to see more? Is 3 a good number? And what does it mean to have, I know you didn't play with those guys, but what does it mean to have old Kentucky guys on the roster when you get here?
I mean, it's a brotherhood. I mean, we speak about old Kentucky times and things like that, things that when they was playing at Kentucky and from when I was playing that are still the same and stuff like that. And we just speak about all the good times that we had in college, and it's still like a brotherhood. I mean, going to Kentucky, you could speak to any guy from Kentucky, and it's a form like the brotherhood now.
Anybody else?
Yeah, the Thunder's track record, particularly a guy like Andre Robertson, who was not a highly skilled offensive player coming out of college, but the Thunder identified him as a defensive guy and say, hey, you can play, and he's turned himself into a big-time player. When you see a guy like that, and they've talked about you and your potential with defense, does that give you sort of inspiration that, hey, if I work on the defensive side of the ball, things are going to take care of themselves regardless of what happens on offense?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, Dre is definitely a great player, and the Thunder track record on how they develop players has just been spectacular. So for me, I just got to come in and attack every day and try to learn as much as possible from guys like Andre, Russ, PG, Steve-O, and just try to learn as much as possible because they've been here for so long and they know the ropes, and just try to learn from their mistakes that they did on their way to where they are now and try to learn from things that they didn't do and just try to adapt that into my daily routine.
Hamidou, so we saw this summer a couple videos of you and your workouts kind of jumping very high. The dunk contest, is this something that maybe you'd want to try this year?
I mean, yeah, definitely. If I have the chance to do it and I get invited, I'll definitely do it. And just got to keep trying to show my bounce here and there.
Other questions? Thanks, Hamidou.
Appreciate you guys.